Welcome to the planning board. You can't hear me. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the planning board, Holmdel's planning board. Can you still hear me? Not hear me? Hello? Louder. Can we do volume?
Just put it closer.
Okay, it's in my face. Okay. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-10, and the regulations governing remote meetings, NJAC 5:39-1.5, period. I hereby announce that adequate notice and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in a notice dated January 24th, 2023, that was sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, posted on the bulletin board, and on the main access door to Town Hall, filed by the clerk's office, and posted on the township website, www.holmdeltownship.com. Roll call, please.
Don Aquiliano. Don Aquiliano is absent. Jeff Ackerson. Jeff Ackerson is absent. Kim LaMountain. Kim LaMountain is absent. Wes Fagan.
Here.
Bill Castaning. Bill Castaning is absent. Ron Emma.
Here.
Tom King.
Here.
Joyce Pelosis.
Here.
Scott Silberman. Scott Silberman is absent. Samantha Polavina.
Here.
Christy O'Connor.
Here.
Okay, I'd like to see Christy O'Connor and Samantha for Jeff Ackerson and for Bill Casing. Okay, can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain seated for a moment of standing, to honor the military, the police, and our first responders. Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda for the public hearing is item number 1, PB 2023-A. Item number 1. Okay. PB 2023-A, Somerset Holmdel Development, 101 Crawford's Corner Road, Block 11, lots 38.03-3807, preliminary and final site plan approval with sign variance. Applicant seeks preliminary and final major site plan approval with variance relief to amend 3 road signs at the entrance monument, retail signs to digital signage on the Belmont Works property. Before we begin, does any board members have a conflict with this application?
As an employee of a tenant at Bellworks, out of an abundance of caution, I'd like to recuse myself.
You're excused, Ron. Thank you. Okay. Board Secretary, is this deemed complete? Is this application deemed complete?
Yes.
Okay.
Notices are in order and escrow is in order.
Okay. Mr. Bruno, would you like to begin, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. Michael Bruno, law firm of Giordano, Haller, and Cecil here on behalf of the applicant, Somerset Holmdel Development 1 Urban Renewal Limited Partnership. This is an application to modify the 3 existing signs, monument signs, at the entrance, 2 at Crawford's Corner Road and 1 on Middletown Road. The signs that we're talking about this evening were granted approval back in September of 2017. We're seeking a modification of those signs, which we'll describe in detail this evening. The applicant had originally requested a sign of 11 feet, a little over 11 feet, which required a variance. Due to some concerns that we heard from the neighbors as well as the board professionals, we're removing that request and we will keep the sign at its compliant 10 feet. So no variance is required for the size of the sign. So what we're seeking to do is to modify the signs to allow changes to the sign to advertise the retail and service tenants at Bellworks. You'll hear this evening from Clint Botani, who is our design consultant and who is with Urban Union Design and has created the proposal for the sign, as well as Ralph Zucker, who will describe the need for these signs. We don't believe that we require any new variances, and we'll describe why we think we're compliant. And with that said, I'd like to introduce Clint Botani at this time and have him sworn.
Good.
Before you do your thing. So, Mr. Bruno, we'd like to swear in both of your witnesses and our professionals now, and then I think the chairwoman wants to have our professionals
I want our-
explain the application also. So
Okay.
That's fine.
If your two witnesses will just raise your right hand, and Kate, Bob, do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. So just for the record, the witnesses and our professionals have been sworn. Okay. Everyone's been sworn. All right. I can hear it. I can hear it. Everyone's been sworn in for the record. Joyce, you want?
Okay, let's begin with Kate. Kate, she's our board planner, Kate Keller, and can you give us any background or any information with regards to the application before us?
Sure. So I'll provide some background and also just briefly summarize my letter dated May 3rd, 2023. Trying my best. Okay. So yes, I will be summarizing my letter, which is dated May 3rd, 2023. So as Mr. Bruno stated, the applicant is at this time seeking to modify the 3 monument signs, 2 along Crawford's Corner Road and 1 at Middletown Road. Right as of now, those are illuminated, but they are not LED signs, and now the applicant is proposing to install double-sided LED screens there. Per the applicant's information they provided, the full-color LCD screens would be programmed to advertise a number of retailers and facilities within Bellworks on a rotating schedule. They're not proposing to change the location, and as we've just heard, they are withdrawing their request for a variance for the height of the sign. So the height is proposed to stay the same, which is in compliance. So the redevelopment plan for Bellworks, which is what really guides the zoning for this site, does have standards for signage. The proposal meets all of those standards. However, the subject property and the signs in here are also subject to the township's general regulations for signs, and several provisions there, and that can be found at section 3096 of the development regulations. And the animated, flashing, and illusionary signs are prohibited. Signs using mechanical electrical devices to revolve, flash, or display movement. And illuminated signs, including those that have permitted, no signs shall be permitted with flashing illumination or lights of changing intensity. So, I will let the applicant put on their testimony. In my opinion, variances would be required from that section. And then in addition, the applicant did receive kind of a comprehensive sign package approval back in 2017, which Mr. Bruno also alluded to. And at that time, they were granted approval for LCD signs within the ring road, those signs that are currently there today. However, at the time of that approval, there was a special condition added that all approved digital signs shall be static and not flash or have any movement, with any changes to be reset during off hours only. So, my understanding is that the applicant is currently not in compliance with that special condition, because the signs in there they now do change. I can't speak to how long that's been going on, but in order to keep those, in order to maintain that existing condition, that would also require, additional variance relief and a relief of the condition from the prior resolution. Because as we've talked before on the board, when resolutions for amended site plans, et cetera, carry forward, all of the conditions continue to apply except for when it's specifically noted. So, essentially the rest of my letter just details, we're looking for information as to the operation of the signs, frequency of the changing message, hours, types of tenants, events, whatever would be advertised on there. I will defer to Bob Mullen, our engineer, any comment, if he has any comments as to traffic impacts, visibility. We're looking for some testimony on really, if anything has changed really on the site within the last 6 years that really necessitates a relief from that condition and the approval of digital signs that were specifically prohibited by the board at that time. I believe that Mr. Bruno said that Mr. Zucker will be testifying to that, so look forward to hearing that testimony. And then finally, we just want to hear about the impacts on residential development in the area in terms of brightness. So my opinion is that bulk variance relief is required for having the moving digital signs, and that relief of condition number 8 from the 2017 approval is also required.
Number 8. Mr. Mullen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the most part, our review encapsulates everything that Ms. Keller just enunciated. I will add a couple of comments that we did receive from the Township Fire Official. Include the property address on the signs along Crawford's Corner Road. Character should be large enough to be easily visible and discernible by passing motorists traveling at the speed limit. And from the traffic safety officer, illumination intensity should be lowered during darkness and low light conditions so as not to interfere with motorist capabilities to operate a vehicle safety. Beyond that, I have nothing more than what Kate's already stated.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Bruno, we're ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you. Our first witness is Clint Botani, Union Design. Clint, why don't you give the board the benefit of your education, experience, and background?
Sure. Testing. Can you guys hear me? Great. I've been a professional graphic designer working in New York City for the last 28 years. I am a partner at Union Design since 2007. We have done signage projects in the state of New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Illinois. We've done many digital signs, static signs, across the board, interior, exterior. A little bit about on the background. So, sure. Clint Bottoni, Bottoni.
So, Clint, why don't you describe the signs, the existing signs, and then what the applicant is looking to
Right,
do?
just 1 second, you need to, the board should accept him as a witness.
Do you accept him as a witness, a professional witness? Okay.
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 Thank you.
Continue.
Clint, why don't you describe the existing sign and then what the modification to the sign will look like?
Sure. The existing sign are static signs that simply have the brand for Bellworks. Very small down at the bottom, work, eat, play, which is a tagline describing what is in the facility. So over time, obviously, Bellworks has grown and has a large number of tenants now, and particularly the retail restaurants and services have zero front-facing branding, messaging anywhere on either the road face or anywhere outside of the on the outside of the facility.
And before we get into that, why don't we identify, you have exhibits showing the existing sign.
Yes.
Why don't we pull those up and mark those into evidence?
Sorry about that. There we go. So
And as we pull that up, I guess this would be Exhibit 1, applicant's Exhibit 1. And could you describe what the board, the public's looking at?
you are looking at a rendering of the existing sign showing, documenting the dimensions, height, width, and thickness. It's currently 80 inches wide, 120 inches tall, and 12 inches deep. The sign is currently backlit, so everything that you're seeing there in white is illuminated. Obviously, this is a static sign, not a screen. And what we are proposing to do, I've moved on to page 2.
So A2, this is the proposed sign modification.
Right. So, and as we stated earlier, we currently had this, as you're seeing on the screen, we had it at 15 inches taller than the current sign, we will pull that back. So we are at the 10-foot max. We will basically, the logo that's at the top will come down 15 inches and the screen area will be smaller. So the Bellworks logo, like the existing sign, will be backlit. It'll be illuminated from the interior. The screen area will be the LED, which we can control the content, both in terms of what it is, the schedule of that particular image, and also the brightness level. So that can change depending on time of day, etc.
So as you move forward, why don't we just, these are existing signs, obviously, but why don't you identify their orientation and location, both at Crawford's Corner Road and then again at the Middletown Road entrance?
Sure. I think, let me jump through these very quickly, the photos. You are seeing the the existing state of the west entrance off of Crawford's Road.
This is A3.
And the proposed digital replacement. Note that it will be the same height. Currently, it's being shown as slightly higher.
And we'll mark this as A4.
The east side entrance at Crawford's Road,
A5.
and the proposed.
A6.
All three of these signs are identical in terms of design, scale, how they work, etc. And the final one on Middletown Road entrance, existing
A7.
and proposed.
A8.
So I'm going to jump back now to page 3. This is showing the proposed sign. You can see the small insets showing the site plan. The signs are oriented facing east-west, meaning
And
that
we had marked this as Exhibit A2 for the record.
so that these are facing perpendicular to the road, meaning they're meant to be seen on approach from a vehicle.
Is that east-west, generally speaking?
That is generally east-west on this particular inset. On the Middletown Road, I believe we're running. I think it's actually running northwest, southwest.
Okay.
But the same situation in terms of perpendicular to the road, meant to be seen from oncoming traffic. Let me touch on a couple things on how the signs work. First of all, the goal of the sign is to give, as stated earlier, is to give all of those tenants inside some kind of advertising or letting people know that there's something else inside at Bellworks. It's a large facility, many tenants. So the sign is relatively small. I understand we're in a residential area. In terms of the size of the facility and the number of tenants, it is very small. So keeping that in mind, where it's located, we have kept the design essentially to the exact same size to not disturb any of the neighbors. And the digital sign is going to allow us to give those tenants the advertising they need. It also allows for any particular events on that particular day to be put up there as well. We have control over the duration that the slide, I'm going to refer to them as slides because they are still images. Nothing is moving. It's basically a picture. And yes, it will have some text. I actually have some examples here at the very back of the document.
And this would be A8.
I think it's A9.
Excuse me, A9.
So these are essentially sketches, just to give you an idea. What is meant to be shown there is the logo of a tenant, a picture giving an idea of what they are, who they are, what they do, and a secondary message just to give a hint at backing that up. These are essentially guidelines. This is not specific designs for specific tenants in there. So back to how it works. We can change the duration of how long each slide is up. Most states, including New Jersey, there is a minimum time that you can have an image up for on a digital sign. It is 8 seconds. We currently have on the inner rings, the images are up for 10 seconds. We can lengthen that if needed. We can also schedule when particular images come up during the day, such as for events. They'll turn on an hour and a half before the event. They'll turn off after the event is over. And then in terms of brightness, this is very key. Currently, on the signs on the inside the ring road, and what we would do with these signs is at sunset and sunrise, we change the brightness level. So during the day, at sunrise, we turn the lights up to 100% basically. That's to compete with the sunlight, so you can see it in natural light, and we bring it down to 20% at night. Night being changes obviously throughout the year, but it's sunset. So 20% brings it down to fairly dim. We can bring it down to roughly 15%. It turns into an unrecognizable image essentially. So anything below 15 is almost impossible to read. What have I missed there?
So over the weekend, you sent out an invitation to the board Over the weekend, you sent out an invitation to the board members to come and see the sign because you were lowering by 20%. So it really was at 80%, correct?
I will speak.
No, lowering to 20%, not
That was 20%?
if you saw the if you saw the markup.
No, I drove by Saturday evening. A lot of our board members had other plans and I wasn't able to do a drive-by. But you're telling me that when I drove by at 10 o'clock the other night, or 9:30, that was at 20%? You lowered it by 80%?
I don't know what sign you looked at. We did a mock-up to demonstrate.
On the Loop Road. It was on the Loop Road.
So I'm not sure what sign you saw, but we did do a mock-up.
I seen all three signs on the Loop Road, and then I went over by Millville Road. And the email that went out said that Bellworks was going to lower it by 20%. To me, that was an 80%. I was looking at 80% of the light.
No,
But that was bright. I'm being very serious because I went and I have video of it.
Okay, well, our intent is to be able to lower it so that it's much less illuminating at night, so to not have impact on the surrounding area, but still make it recognizable. So I think what we're willing to do is find a place with the reduction, the dimming, that satisfies the surrounding neighborhood, but at the same time allows the sign to be read. So that is the intent, and we can get into that detail as we move forward with more of the presentation.
We want everybody to be happy, whether it's tenants, whether it's the owner of Bellworks, or wait. No, you can't. Wait. No.
Excuse me.
Crawford's Corner Road and turning it into Highway 35.
Excuse me, sir.
With all those signs on the highway.
Excuse me. Wait. We want the residents to be happy also.
Tell him to get the police if you can't control.
Please don't have me. I've been here for 35 years, sir.
And you sit up there and you're willing to listen to them about a little sign, this light,
I ha-
this much light?
Sir.
You don't need
Sir,
What you don't want.
sir,
Signs and all.
sir,
That's what
sir, when everybody makes it,
you told about when you do this.
sir,
Tell me to close it down.
sir, I will close the meeting. I'll close the I'm gonna close the meeting. I've lived in this town for 35 years, for a very long time, and I want to make the residents happy also. And what I'm going to say, when an application comes before this board, it must be heard. It must be heard. Now, I'd like to continue by saying, what I would like to do, because nobody knows what the number is, I would like to do an on-site. And I would like to have the signs reduce by 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, etc., to see exactly what the light spillage is. And it will be an open public meeting. Everybody is invited to watch, and the police will block off the road if necessary. Thank you. Is Bell Works and Somerset in agreement to this?
Sure.
Thank you. We will decide on a date and time. You continue with your
Okay.
meeting.
Sorry
your
about that,
testimony.
Madam Chairman.
That's okay. People have a right to express themselves,
Not in that
especially when they're passionate.
Okay, so let's continue. We heard the board's planner identify two variances that is of her opinion that we require relief from. We've reduced the size of the sign to a 10-foot height, so that's compliant. The second item that we heard is section 3096.1A of the ordinances in town. And that prohibits signs using mechanical and or electrical devices to revolve, flash, or display movement or the illusion of movement. Can you describe why the signs that we are proposing don't fit within any of those categories in your professional opinion?
Sure. Particularly the mechanical components, there are no mechanical components in here. It's all electrical, meaning the screens are light. There's no motion. There's no movement. The sign does not move. It does not turn. I'm looking at the description here. Device. There's no revolving. There's nothing flashing. There's nothing. The illusion of movement. All of that cannot happen anyway in terms of it's not video. There's no animating text. There's no animating images. It's a slide. It's an image. So it changes.
Why is it changing on the loop road now, every 10 seconds?
Because there are a large number of tenants. So we can't put one advertisement up for the entire building other than saying just Bellworks. We're trying to get some visibility for the individual restaurants, retailers, services, etc.
But
Okay.
Clint,
Can I ask
what-
a question?
So in that way, if I'm driving and it's changing every 10 seconds, I'm past it in a second. So how is that increasing the visibility for the tenants in that loop?
Well, I think the intent is to have the different tenants on the sign, periodically, so that maybe one time you drive by, you see Swing Loose. Maybe another time you see pick another tenant. And so over time, you get to be comfortable with who's in the building, and you start to learn who's in the building. You start to learn what events may be at the building. And that is the intent. And you'll hear from Mr. Zucker as to why this is important. I mean, obviously, we're not adding square footage. We're not adding units. This is an expense to enhance the building and its vibrancy of the tenants to allow it to be successful. And that's what the request is all about, to try to enhance Bellworks.
Okay, so on the same vein, can you provide more guidance on why it needs to be digital instead of static with all logos there all the time, similar to a strip mall or other areas, just for more context?
Sure.
Sure, in terms of scale, It would be a lot of little logos. It has everything to do with scale. They're all going to be very tiny, and this allows each of those tenants to have at least a moment, several moments over the course of the day of having a individual advertisement. That would be the difference. And also, if you're putting them all up at once, it would essentially be, as you said, simply logos. There would be no additional information. There would be no image of what they are, who they are, what they do. Some of these names are slightly obscure. It helps to have that secondary message, that secondary image.
And you feel a driver can read those secondary messages underneath the logos?
On the ones that we currently have, yes. Some of the items in the past have possibly been too small, which we are rectifying.
So let's just get the response as to the variance. So in your opinion, you don't believe that the sign we're proposing is an animated, flashing, or an illusionary sign?
Correct.
Okay, so the second provision that are prohibited is signs shall not be permitted flashing illumination or lights of changing intensity. Can you confirm that what we're proposing doesn't violate that provision?
Each individual slide will be at the same brightness level. So in terms of the illumination level switching out, that is not the case. So once we set that, and obviously we want to have that everybody come out and look at it and do the individual percentages so everybody can agree upon what is bright and not bright. But once that is set and agreed upon, that becomes the standard. So it's standard during the daylight hours and standard during the evening hours.
And how about the flashing? Could this be interpreted as a flashing sign because you're changing signage?
Once again, I would argue that the flash is a change of image. That would be the only thing remotely close to that definition. There is nothing on each individual slide that is flashing, moving, changing. The slide is static. It is a picture put up on the screen. The only change happens when we switch to a different slide.
Yeah, but when you change to a different slide, orange becomes brighter, black is darker. So it's always a constant change in color and brightness, whether it's at 20%, 30%. The black is going to be much more muted.
That is correct. The color will have an impact, but in terms of the setting of the illumination that all those colors are being illuminated at, that will be a constant intensity in those settings.
Madam Chair, if I just may
Yes, I was
comment on
just going to
that,
ask.
thank
I was going
you.
to ask you.
So I appreciate the arguments that the applicant is putting forth. To me, the reason they need a variance is because they needed a variance in 2017 to permit
Right.
the existing signs, and that was because they were considered to display movement. And and because of that, I know they're just talking about slides. To me, that's movement. It changes. It's going from one to the next. Sure, it's not animated. It's not like, a PowerPoint presentation from 10 years ago where you had the little slides going through there, but it's going from one to the next, just like it was doing up here. And so, that coupled with the prior approval, that, to me, there's no question that a variance is required. And the second thing I will say with regard, especially to, I'm talking about the existing signs right now, is that while the board in 2017 did grant the variance to allow digital display signs, and digital display signs, they put special conditions on there that allowed the signs to change from day to day, but not from second to second or minute to minute. The way the condition reads, and I know I've already read this several times tonight, but the way that this condition reads is all approved digital signs shall be static, shall not flash or have any movement, with changes reset during off hours only. So that means you can have tenant A on Tuesday, tenant B on Wednesday, tenant C on Thursday, etc. So, and that's not what they're looking for. That's, in my opinion, they need a relief of that condition, and they're violating that right now. But yeah, I really, I'll leave this to the board, but in my opinion, a variance is definitely warranted here.
Right. No, it's It's item,
Madam Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
we did request the variance because we understand there's an interpretation to be had of your ordinance. And so we've made the argument that we don't believe it applies, and you can make that determination. But if you disagree with us, we've requested the variance in that instance. We also believe that we comply with the spirit of the condition that the planning board imposed in 2017. We're happy to discuss that also. But our intent is to be compliant with the condition and the spirit of that condition. So I don't think we have anything else by way of direct.
I have one other question. In regards to the interdepartmental review form that you received on April 27th, which was from the Director of Infrastructure, Board of Health, Fire Official, Safety, Traffic Safety Officer, and Construction Official, I'm looking at the design of the sign, and Dave Olson, which is our fire official, asked that there be an address on there. I have not seen a sample of any address, whether it's going to be on the marble, on the back, is it going to be illuminated? And you had since April 27th, and we needed a response date by May 8th, and I have not received anything. Why haven't I received a change in the design?
So you're looking for the address of 101 Crawford's Corner
I'm
Road?
referring to this, and Mr. Bruno, you did get a copy of this.
Yeah, I did. I'm not sure we understand what he's seeking. I mean,
He's seeking to include property address on the signs on the roads along Crawford's Corner Road. Characters shall be large enough and easily visible and discernible by passing motorists traveling at the posted speed limit.
We can easily add that to the design right away and get it back to you ASAP. And note that it would be the static, it would be part of the static, just like the logo is at the top of the sign.
So you want to make it a permanent near the Bellworks
Yes,
sign?
it would not be digital.
It would be-
not be digital. It needs to be permanently there and not changing.
I think one of the reasons we didn't immediately react to that comment is obviously it used to be a single tenant, and 101 Crawford's Corner Road would fit the bill for the single tenant. But now that there's hundreds of tenants,
Well, that's why you want these signs. This is why you
Correct,
want to
but-
advertise your retailers so they know where they're going.
That
To
is
101 Crawford's Corner.
well, they have a different common address. Is my point. So
Okay.
101 is the main building that Somerset uses. Tenants in the building may have a different common address.
Okay.
Excuse me, I have some questions.
Sure.
Are the number of images unlimited?
We can currently, yes, but I believe there's probably 20 in there right now.
Well, you show 15 here.
Sure, those are the sketches of setting up the guidelines of scale and sizes of text, et cetera.
So when you mentioned 20, are you talking about on the internal signs that are existing?
Correct. As an example, there's roughly 20 there.
Yeah, this exhibit just is a representative example of what would be shown. As tenants come and go, it'll change, obviously.
As tenants are added, you would have the potential, I say unlimited, I mean, it's in the hundreds. You could possibly have images, correct?
Technically, yes, but we would probably not do that just for, probably rotate them in terms of scheduling.
And I heard testimony that every tenant would have access to advertise.
If so desired, yes.
And those same tenants are now advertising on the internal road, right? The signs that exist, that's what that's for. It's for the same thing that we're talking about here, correct?
Correct.
And lastly, can you talk about light intensity in terms of how it's measured? Lumens or
lumens and
or
nits.
foot candles?
Yes, and if you want the specific answer, I could bring in an LED fabricator to give you the absolute answer to that. I'm not going to pretend to be the lighting nits expert at all. I bring in the third-party people that actually do the LEDs.
Specifically, I'm asking, there's a present sign there, it's black and white, it's backlit lit.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a number associated with it.
Sure.
Whatever that is. It's a static number. This sign is capable of something. Typically in the specifications, you would call out what the intensity is, whether you know or not. Are they apples and apples? Are you measuring the same light intensity on both signs? And can you offer something that tells us what that is?
We can measure that, whether it's a static or LED. I can get the equivalent for you. I would have to bring the expert in. I do not have that number. Also, I would tie that into with wherever we decide to land with any kind of illumination a level, whether it's back to your point, the reduction in, whether it's 20%, 30%, 80%, et cetera.
Right.
And we can measure at those levels.
Mm-hmm. And one more. There was a opinion from the Holmdel Environmental Commission, and they offered three conclusions. Two of them, first one was to disturb local residents in their homes. So it would be your testimony that this would not disturb local residents in their homes.
Certainly not in their homes. If they are, that's why we were talking about the different percentage levels, particularly after sunset, to bring that down. During the day, I can't really see that being an issue. In the evening, depending on where they are located, that would be the reason to bring down and come to an agreement on what illumination is too bright.
Their last conclusion talked about a distraction to drivers. So is it your testimony that this would provide no distraction to drivers?
Well, this is fairly standard nowadays in terms of digital signing is becoming the way to go for a number of reasons, particularly allowing a larger number of advertising or particular tenants to show more messages, more advertising at a cheaper cost, and allowing it to change on a regular basis, as opposed to being locked into a sign for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, et cetera. So when you pass by, you are really experiencing only 1 or 2 images tops when you drive by at the speed limit. At the current duration of being up for 10 seconds, you may capture the change as you drive by, but in most cases, you are seeing one on that particular occasion. You would probably see something different on your return trip or the next time you went by.
Well, these are double-sided signs. So if you're driving, you're going to see an image, and then by the time you get to the next sign, it's likely there'll be a different image.
That would be true with the 2 signs on Crawford's, yes.
Even driving the same way. I mean, it's
Correct.
a double-sided
Correct.
sign.
Sure.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
That would be possible depending upon how often they change.
Sure.
Just another question for me as well. So the samples that you've put up there, multiple colors, multiple images, have considerations been made to perhaps have one color with fewer images to reduce that visual view?
That could be discussed for sure, yes.
And then we've mentioned 8 seconds, I think, was the rotating. Have considerations been made to maybe make that more than 8 seconds? So once an hour or 2 hours, are those options?
The minimum standard is 8 seconds. We currently have them set at 10. They can be increased up to whatever management and the town would like to do.
Can't be less than 8, but we could go higher than 8.
Correct.
Okay, good to know. And then last question. Currently, we've talked about the tenants using this. Is there any indication that it would be outside of tenants, or would there be usage in other ways, third parties that could be also used?
I will let Ralph answer
Ralph.
that, but generally right now it is internal tenants or Bellworks as a whole, or Bellworks or events happening at the site. There's nothing else, any outside advertising for anybody else is not currently in the mix. And I would, I'll let Ralph go beyond that.
Any further questions for this witness?
Nope.
So, do tenants have to pay for this advertisement, or is this a way to get tenants into the building as well?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question for Ralph Zucker when he's next. You gotta be sworn.
I was sworn already. There's no charge, there will be no charge, and we're pretty full. It's to help the existing tenants.
Anything further?
No, well, just so this would help increase getting tenants into the spaces.
Well, I think the goal is to help the tenants get word out that they're there, help educate the community who's there. I know the community loves coming to Bell Works, most of them, but it's to help support the tenants so they can remain viable. And Ralph will talk about how important that element of Bell Works is to the overall success of the entire building.
No, this is not part of the public portion. I'm sorry, sir.
I think the aim of the residents of Holmdel is to keep it as rural as possible. And you're sticking these signs out that are flashing. I went by the ones you had on that inside. And it's like driving down the Las Vegas Strip, I'll tell you.
Well, we're hoping with the testimony that you're here tonight, we'll find a balance that will satisfy you as planning board members, the residents, and Bell Works as a successful development.
Do you have any further questions for this witness? Anybody?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My next witness is Ralph Zucker. He is a principal of the applicant, and he is the main visionary of this wonderful place called Bell Works. Ralph, you want to use that one, or you want to stand?
Sorry, I'm short. Can you hear me?
You can also hold it.
Okay. I'll just hold it. A little nervous standing up here with all my neighbors. I would like, with the board's permission, through the chair, to ask the retailers at Bell Works who are here tonight, if you're not too scared, to identify yourself for a minute. Thank you all very, very much. Just wanted to point out to the board that there are people here also in support whose livelihoods are very much at stake. And standing here tonight, I said I am short. I don't think I'm going to be short. Standing here tonight brings me back to a moment back in 2000, the winter of 2007. And we were negotiating with AT&T, Alcatel-Lucent actually, on the purchase of the then vacant former Bell Labs. And my vice president and I, a good fellow by the name of Tom Miknowitz, and I wanted to know, what is it like to do business in Holmdel? And we came and we sat right here in the back of the room, like a lot of you, and we listened into a planning board hearing, and I should have known what I'm in for tonight because it was all about signs. And there was a heated discussion. And Ralph Blumenthal, you probably were there. And the discussion was very much about a sign on a public park owned by Holmdel Township. And there was a heated discussion as to whether the sign should be light brown or dark brown. And the conversation went on for what I recall as hours. And I turned to Tom Miknowitz and I said, Tom, let's get out of here. We'll never, if they can't agree on the color of a sign, we're never going to be able to rehabilitate this building. But we were under contract, We were in our due diligence. And a few weeks later, I was driving back home from the city, and it was like a night that Robert Frost would describe in his poem. It was a light snow falling. I'm driving onto this bucolic. I said, let me stop by. I wanted to get some inspiration. I wanted to know, should I go ahead? This was a big undertaking. And I know, Mr. King, you say, this isn't Vegas. I agree with you. We didn't put the building in Holmdel. We found the building there and rehabilitated. But we understood the challenges, and we understood what we were going to go through, and went through, frankly, 5 years in front of members of this board and other boards for 5 years, from 2008 until we were approved in 2013. And I drove onto the site, and I got on for maybe about where the signs are today that we're talking about, the existing ones. And I see flashing lights behind me. Police officer pulls me over and says, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing here on this site? It's closed." I gave him my card, and I said, "Would you believe I'm contract purchaser to buy this, and I want to redevelop it?" And instantly his demeanor changed. He leans over on my windowsill in the snow, and he says, "Tell me, what are you going to do with it?" And I described my plans. Today we know to call it a metroburb. We know I had a vision. I didn't have an exact plan. I had a vision. I had an idea. And I described it to this police officer. I wish, if anybody knows who he is, I'd love to meet him. Because what he said to me changed the course of Bell Labs and turned into Bell Works. He leaned over and he said, "You know, I love what you're going to do here. Holmdel needs a place to go. We need a downtown. We have nothing here." And because of that police officer, he encouraged me. He doesn't know that, but he encouraged me to take a step that maybe it's self-serving for me to say that bettered the entire community. Because when we walked onto the scene, let's remember, Bell Works, Bell Labs at the time, was empty. I sat here through many committee meetings when the committee authorized letters to the then governor, whichever governor it was, and looking for tenants and things like that. The tax rateable had gone down. When we bought the building, I believe we were paying $300,000 in taxes. I'm very proud of an article here in my hands. I'm not going to bore you to read it. I didn't write it. It was written by a local reporter, that you were able to hire additional police officers, keep your tax rate flat or almost flat because of the amazing ratables recreated by Bell Works. We are partners in this project, and I'd like to welcome all of you as neighbors and partners. And I really feel personally a little bit let down after all that we've done. And I'm not saying I've done it for you, I've done it for me, but I've also done it for all of us. We have all benefited from what we have done over here. And we continue. The reason we're here tonight, I will not get another extra tenant. Our retail is full. I think I maybe have 2 spots. Our offices are 97% leased. And I want to tell you something. When ISIMS came to Bell Works and took 350,000 square feet, they wanted a sign up on the building as a condition of coming here. And we said, no, we're not going to turn this into Tokyo with 1 million signs hanging all over the place. And our proposal, although it is not something typical, it is necessary for the life and support of our retail community. And I want to explain to you why. Bell Works is an ecosystem. It's not an office building. It's a metroburb. It's a small metropolis in an amazing suburban location. We're so happy to be citizens of this great community. The reason our building is 97% full, Bell Works is 97% full, and buildings all over the place are going from 80% to 70% to 60%, being vacated, being given back to the banks all over the country. Most banks will not even lend anymore to anybody on an office building. It's because they're boring, mind-numbing places to work. There's no reason to go to work in those places. We need the retail, the life of Bell Works so that people want to rent there. As I said, we are partners. We're in this together. We are full, and we want to keep it full. Our retailers are there, and some of them are beginning to be successful. You know, you mentioned that maybe we're not living up to the exact letter of the law, and maybe you're right. I don't think so. I have my attorneys, and I'm definitely not going to concede that point here tonight. But I want to tell you something. Those signs were totally static. They never changed, except for when a tenant moved in, we got another tenant. for many, many years from when we put them in until May of 2020. And I want to bring you to the time of May in 2020. We were fighting COVID-19. We had a building that was devoid of life. There was nobody there. The first thing we did, unlike most landlords, and I heard somebody here say you're going to charge for the sign. No, we're not going to charge for the sign. We work together with all of our tenants. We went to our retail tenants and said to them, by the way, with the cooperation of the mayor and this municipality, and said to them, we will not charge you rent. Stay here. We need you to be here. You can pay a percentage rent. If you sell a cup of coffee, you'll pay a percentage. We lowered, literally, we walked across the board and we lowered the rent for everybody and even eliminated it if necessary. We went ahead and we said, we want you to survive because you are the very lifeblood of this community. And then we had to bring it back. And we were too busy fighting for our life, fighting to revitalize. Imagine, we had worked since 2013 when we closed to bring the building to life. And now we are 2020, March of 2020, the height of our success. The building is almost 80% occupied. And iSIMS, our largest tenant, gives a notice that they are shutting down and all their employees are now working from home. And by the way, they only come back a little bit, a few days a week. That was devastating to us. We had to support our tenants, and we had to survive, and it was a struggle, and it's still a struggle. We fight every day to try to let people know. There are people who live in Holmdel today that have never been inside, that have no idea what is in there, and if we do not, there's an old saying, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. I didn't make that up. That's Retail 101. Everybody knows that. We're here today to ask you not to give us more. We're not going to have more space. We're not going to have more tenants. It's in everybody's interest to go ahead and preserve what we have here today. We're fighting for all of us. We're fighting these ratables for every dollar that we bring in. Mike, what's the pilot? 10.75 cents? Almost 11 cents of every dollar goes directly to Holmdel Township as part of the pilot program, not to mention all the other ratables that are created. That we are partners. And what we're doing here, the reason we want to go ahead and spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's going to take to build these signs is so that those people here in the back will be able to attract and tell people, I'm selling ice cream. I have a golf thing. You can come play virtual. You can have your kid's birthday party. And who's coming in? It's a lot of you. It's a lot of your children. I'm sure that most of you have been there. We welcome you to come in and walk your dog and walk around and everything. Pat comes over to me all the time and he says, Ralph, we can't allow animals in here. They're I don't want to say what, all over the place. And I say, Pat, people are going to come in with them. Let them come in and let them, and we'll clean it up. And we try to get people to clean it up, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. And we clean it up and try to do it. This is not here other than to preserve what's there. The amount of concern that's in this room, I believe, and I really like what the chairperson has said, would be if we would have a dialogue. We didn't know who to talk to. We don't know. We're sitting there, we send out notices. We don't know who's opposed, who's in favor, who's not. We've always had dialogue. The entire Bell Works came about because of dialogue and dialogue and dialogue. And maybe I'm being self-serving. Maybe most of you wish it wouldn't be there. I hope to say that you would appreciate what's there and why it's there. And we need your help to keep it alive and to keep it successful. The retailers that are here today that are shaking their head, they need, we get complaints. I have a lot of complaints written down over here for people. I came in on a Sunday afternoon and I can't even get a cup of coffee. Why can't it be open? Well, if people don't know that it's there and the retailers, they can't afford to pay help to stay open. It's an eco-cycle. It's an ecosystem. It has to go around. We're asking for your indulgence. We don't deserve the bad feelings that are here tonight. I really, really wish and hope that you understand that that is unwarranted. That outcry was unwarranted. I hope we could get together over a cup of coffee hopefully in Busker Do or one of our coffee shops in Bell Works and discuss it. We're not here to threaten your way of life. We're not here to turn Holmdel into Las Vegas. But I will tell you that if we don't find a way to support our retailers, the entire ecosystem turns upside down. There's a memo I also have here. One of the township committee or mayor said, we have to plan ahead for 17 years from now or 27 years from now. When the pilot goes away, how are we going to balance our books and our ratables? Let me tell you, if we don't support our retailers, that moment, God forbid, will come a lot sooner. We need to support them. We're not selling this space. It's only an expense for us. If we lose here tonight, if we go away, we don't do it, God bless you all. We won't have it. We're just trying to make things better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zucker. Thank you, Mr. Zucker. Does any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Zucker?
I do, sorry. So, I think what we're hearing is an opposition not to business development or to the retailers, but rather to the brightness of the sign and the fact that it's digital and moving. Have you considered other alternatives that are there to help in those same veins, but maybe also recognize the concerns of the citizens where it's the bright lights, it's the constant, whether it's moving or not? I think that's what is.
Sure, absolutely, and we have some thoughts and proposals on that. I will say that, remember, we have 40, 45 retail tenants. I don't know the exact number in my head, but imagine if we scattered all those signs all along Crawford's Corner or Middletown Road. That would be a lot worse. What we're trying to propose of you is actually clean. The existing signs are there. They're already illuminated. And yes, we should come back and measure the different illumination. What we were thinking of doing, and I do have a slide for that over here to show you, on Crawford's Corner Road, and if necessary in Middletown, although in Middletown I don't really see anybody being affected, correct me if I'm wrong, and if I may, I'd like to bring this up. Do we have this digitally, or?
Is this one? This one? No. What about this one? That's hard to Ralph, get it. You want to mark it, or? I think we're up to 810.
810.
And Ralph, what does this represent?
So, what we're... No, he's going to mark it. 810. He's got to mark it.
Do you have a sticker?
Got to mark it.
Courtney, do you have something you can put on?
I got it.
So what this is quite simply the existing sign. We'll show it to the board, and then we'll turn around and show it to the public. This is the existing sign that's there today on Crawford's Corner Road. This is a potential solution for a nighttime view on these new signs that we're putting out. The exact same image with the sign, because the sign is digital. So it can have a black background, which doesn't emit any light, and the only light would be matching to what's there. So you'd have the Bellworks logo, which is static. We would have the 101 Crawford's Corner Road. We'd want to have open to the public so people know to come in. And we could, whether it's at 9 o'clock at night, whatever time that we agree on, so it's not illuminated all night, we could go ahead. So what you're looking at, and let me show it to the board members, and then I'll turn around and show it. So the one on the right is current, and the one on the left would be proposed. And we would agree that at a certain time every night, let's say 9 or 10 o'clock at night, maybe it's 9 o'clock at night, that becomes that sign only. Typically, the retailers, most of them are closed by then anyway, and it would go back. You wouldn't know the difference, in my not professional opinion, between what's there today and what's proposed, especially when the height is. So here I'm gonna turn around and show it to everybody over here. Hope you can see it. So the one on the right, Pat, you want to be like a sandwich guy and walk around, or the one on the right is what's existing, and the one on the far left is what it would look like at night after dark. So we could go ahead 9 o'clock at night. There would be, we could measure it. We could go, but we discussed this quite a bit. This could literally be so you wouldn't have any impact at all. What you'd see there today, you'd be challenged to know the difference between what was there before and what's going to be there next. The benefit is, by day, we can go ahead and advertise. And again, these are not advertisements, they're not videos. It's somebody to go ahead and say, you can buy an ice cream cone, you could come in and golf, you could have a birthday party, whatever is going on at the building. It's limited, also, I want to make one thing clear, it's limited only to the retail and events. It's not used by any office tenants at all. Even the largest office tenant has no rights to this. It's only to support that street, what we call on the block at Bell Works, to allow that. So I understand a lot of you here are very concerned, but this is a potential solution. I'm glad you asked. It's a potential solution. Another thing that we could agree to, and again, we'd like to have dialogue. We didn't know who we're talking to. I was shocked to walk in here tonight and see such a crowd. I probably wouldn't have been here. Would have sent somebody else. But we don't know we don't know who the opposition is. We don't know that there is opposition. A few days ago, we started hearing. I did make some calls to see maybe we should pull this, try to have a dialogue. Some people said we want to have a dialogue. Some people said we don't. But we didn't know who those people were. So we decided, let's come here. Let's meet all of you. We'd love to have a dialogue. We don't want to fight with you. And if this board in its wisdom says, don't do it, we're not going to fight. We don't. This is about making something better. It's not going to affect my life, and it probably won't affect your life one way or another. We're just going to make it a little bit better. We want to make sure that the Bellworks ecosystem, that the retail street stays alive. Another possible solution that would help, and maybe this is a little bit of a trade-off. Right now, the inside lights stay on all night. They stay on. The digital signs that are there, stay on all night. Maybe we don't need to keep them on all night. Maybe should I run for mayor, or maybe we don't need to keep them on all night. Maybe we could turn them off at 11 o'clock, 10:30. We have to speak to our retailers, find out when they're done. Maybe it's 10 o'clock. But we could turn them. Maybe it gets dimmed down to I don't know, if 10% does anything, you say it might not be legible. Maybe they get turned off. Maybe only one of them stays on at a certain point in time. We want to work with you, but we need to have a dialogue.
No, not yet. I'm sorry, sir. No. Mr. Zucker, at the on-site, can your lighting specialist prepare the signs the way you just described?
Yes, we've done it already, and I'm sorry I got lost. We actually had it demonstrated on one of the signs, but that's why I'm not sure what you saw. So we'll have to do it together, and yes, we'll absolutely do that, absolutely.
Because even over the weekend, I would have loved the residents to see this, but it wasn't.
We would love that, nothing more than that.
Yes, and we also, at the on-site, we want color changes, etc. We want everybody to see what's there.
Absolutely.
And a lettering, legibility.
And the colors, so maybe not cycling through colors and just keeping one color, like all the different
I got to tell you that is a good idea for what you're trying to achieve. I want to be honest with you. It's not going to work for us to limit the colors. We'd rather probably not do it at all, because if it's not colorful and it's not vibrant, it may as well just be a static sign. It's not going to do anything. There's a lot that goes into this. We can maybe agree to limit the changes, but if it's a karaoke night, it's going to be a different color than if somebody's advertising ice cream.
So here's my question, right? So there's a lot of retail in Holmdel and Holmdel Town Center, and I don't know all the names of all the other retailers. In those cases, those outlets rely on a single static sign, whereas because Bellworks is quite different, it is the Metro Burb. I go there quite often. You either know about it or you don't. And so that's where I'm still kind of juggling on the signage and saying you're going to lose retailers because of that when there's so many others in Holmdel that can support based on signage.
Absolutely, great question. I'm so glad you asked it, because I forgot to point out the main reason that our retailers need this, and that is a good point. I've been in real estate for a long time, and I remember looking along Route 9 and Route 35 at different strip malls, and I saw something very interesting. The strip malls that are facing, and I'm not in favor of strip malls, don't worry, but the ones that are facing, we're the anti-mall. The ones that are facing parallel to the road, and their signage is easily visible, you could see this is a nail salon, a hair salon, a coffee shop, they do much better, sometimes to the point of survive or not survive, versus the ones that are L-shaped or yeah, you've got some experts here, the ones that are pointing away, that are built perpendicular to the road and not parallel to the road. It just doesn't work. Retail relies on signage. Bellworks is unique. I got to tell you something. I'm amazed at our success in bringing retailers in, and it speaks to the fortitude of some of the people that are here, what they went through to build up this business, especially to survive through COVID and come back as strong as they have, because nobody sees us. Nobody sees us. And I'm telling you, there are people in Holmdel today who are going to read the paper and say, oh, I didn't know there was retail inside of Bellworks. And even when you know it, think of Coca-Cola. You know Coca-Cola exists, yet they keep advertising. So all these other stores that you're talking about, I would say that 95% of them are visible from a roadway. We are not. Our gym, nobody knows the gym is there. People don't know Pilates is there. They don't know anything, and they need reminder. And they need to know, hey, you know, I can go in and get a pizza or a cup of coffee or go work out. That's just the nature of the beast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just one last question. I know, Joyce, your suggestion with the showing the different levels of illumination, but have we discussed doing an actual mock-up? I mean, I know we can't do a full mock-up because you said, you're going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, but a mock-up on Crawford's Corner or Middletown Road? Or are we just talking about the inner signage right now?
I was proposing for the Loop Road because they are illuminated, and there are three. They can even. I'm not a light specialist, but do 20, 30, 40, then go 50, 60. I don't know, whatever way.
Yeah, we'll do our best to demonstrate what we can. We'll have all our experts on hand. I don't know if we could do, I think they may all work in concert. I don't know.
I don't know.
But we
like
can't
I said,
build a
I'm not
mock-up on
lighting
Crawford's
expert.
Corner Road. I will say that we measured the distance, and we have those measurements to the homes on the front. We don't have anybody next to us on Middletown Road. So I think Middletown Road is a lot easier. But on Crawford's Corner Road, the existing residences are further from our existing signs, which we want to replace, than the people who live inside, close to Jansky Drive, closer to our illuminated signs. So if we could do something to lower that and make that go away, we'll have a positive impact on the residents, on Holmdel, and yet still help our retail community.
I would like you to coordinate this with our professionals.
Absolutely.
What's going to be done, so you give us feedback what we can expect. Okay? Good? Okay. Mr. Bruno, do you have any other witnesses for us?
No, I think that's our testimony this evening. I mean, we did hear some questions. We need to bring back a light consultant, and I think what we want to do is, can we call up the retailers?
Well, I'm going to do, if you want them as witnesses, then yes. They
Well,
have to be
they're going to
sworn
speak
in.
on their own behalf.
Okay,
They're not
because I am going to
our
open this
witnesses.
up to the public portion now. I'm going to limit it because of the number. How many people, how many people want to speak this evening? Okay. Right. We're going to open this up to the public portion of the meeting for comments. It's going to be for 3 minutes. I'll let the person have the floor. If it's repetitive, I'm going to ask you to step aside, because remember, they're going to come back with a new plan. This is probably going to be carried this evening. It will be carried. I'm sorry. Poor choice of words.
Yeah, I think we're going to pick a date for an
For the
on-site.
on-site.
We'll all attend that.
Right.
I don't know if a notice needs to be
I
required
think it
or
has to
not.
be because it's more than 3 people,
And then
correct?
we'll come back here with the input that we received tonight and on-site
Correct.
with the final proposal and finalize any conditions, hopefully.
Okay. Now, when you come up, please state your name and your address, please. And then your,
These are only questions only.
oh, questions only, no comments, I'm sorry.
Comments are for the end.
Comments,
Yeah,
we'll bring you back. Questions
Questions
only.
only.
Oh,
Do you have a question?
Yeah, there'll be a time for comments at the end of the whole thing. That's okay.
Okay. Questions, please. Okay, sir. State your name and your address.
My name is Charles Diamond, and I live at 25 Stratford at the Regency. So my question about these signs is, they have different colors.
You have to stay with the
My
mic.
question about the signs is, you have different colors, you have them changing signs. Isn't that designed specifically? Isn't that designed specifically to get the driver's attention? And if it's designed specifically to get the driver's attention, isn't that a distraction? Isn't that a distraction at night? That's my question.
I'm not an expert. I'm not a traffic expert. I'll leave that to the experts. We're following the guidelines with the 8-second. We said we could go higher. Again, it's not video. It's not flashing. I don't know. You know, I pulled in here and there was actually a flashing light at the entrance to the township, and I was wondering how you guys got away with it.
Okay. Okay. Hello.
Hi, my name's Sam Moreno. I'm from Marlboro, New Jersey, so we're neighbors. I'm the owner of the Gathering Shops. I just have one question. How many people in this room have been to the Gathering Shops? Raise your hand. Not the people that work at the Gathering Shops. How about you? I think that's the reason why we need the sign.
Can I have your next question?
It's only for public, so we should just make a comment. That we only want questions from the witnesses.
Right.
Miss.
Okay, for the future, please, only questions to the witnesses. Come forward, please. Oh,
My name's Jim Lavin. I live at 101 Middletown Road. And the people that come off the Parkway headed down Middletown Road to where Bell Works is, if they're going down there, it's like a 50 miles an hour. I know the speed limit's not that, but the people constantly speed down there. My only concern is having a distraction on the other side of the road.
this is a comment, not a question.
Okay.
Jim, you have to, you're gonna have to,
My question is,
okay.
where will the signage be on Middletown Road?
The signage will be where it is today, same exact spot. We're not moving it any closer or further. No, same exact spot. And by the way, I want to mention that Jim was our first tenant of Bell Works, and it's all your fault, Jim.
Okay.
I was on the advisory board. I wanted you guys here.
All right, good.
I wanted that $11.
Next, please. You might want to have to hold the mic. Okay. And your name and address, please.
Chong, okay. Chong-In Liu, 37 Oaks Drive. Talking about distraction, I will bring your attention to the safety on driving that road. So far, I didn't hear anybody to mention how dangerous between east entrance to the west entrance, that area, that section, is very curved, and we have the traffic, like a curved traffic sign. They have many deers on that road too. You want people to look at the sign. I understand you want to support the tenants. Now, I want to bring you
I need
on
a
the
question.
Yes.
Thank you.
My question is, do you ever study how dangerous of the road, and the people can take a look, the sign, and make a turn? Yeah, so that's my question. Do you do any traffic study on that curved sign between these two, the section? We just had the big accident yesterday afternoon with that curved sign, big curve, sharp curve, and going down. I prepared documents here. I prepared the photo here for you to look how dangerous to put up the signs on there.
Let them answer your question.
And the photos are for.
And
That's, you can comment.
Well, I think when we presented the original wayfinding and sign package for this site back in 2017, the experts provided testimony that the wayfinding is necessary to orient people to where they need to go to get into the building, get into the right parking space. Also, if there's activities, what parking lot to get into, where the activity is. So, yeah, I mean, if people are going to violate the speed limit, I guess it could become unsafe. But that's the same situation in every part of every community. We don't believe that the roads are unsafe, and the testimony is contrary to that view that you just indicated.
Yeah, but you want people to look at your signs, right? And then that's a curve. That's not straight. If the straight would be a different, I won't come out to tell you how
Excuse me,
dangerous.
we can't have a
So, all right, so can I?
That will
I
come under the
have-
comment portion of the meeting. You'll be sworn in because they're your photos, and you'll be sworn in, and you can present them and make a comment on them.
I could do that too now?
No,
Can I?
when I turn it over to the comment.
Comment section.
Okay.
These are questions for the witnesses
Sure,
that
thank you.
testified.
Thank
Okay, thank you. Next. Yes, sir. Come up, my friend.
I have a question.
Okay, could I have your name and your address?
You did a great job at the building over there. But what I'm going to ask you, the question.
Hold on. Just,
The question.
Yeah, I need your name for, under,
Pods, 6 Sulaco Drive, Holmdel. 57 years here. My question is, have you considered doing advertising on Highway 35, Highway 79, saying, hey, Bell Labs is here, Bell Labs has, Bell Works is here, and we offer this, we offer that, and what have you. I don't see those, you have signs here. You want to put them in front of your building, I realize that. But you'll get more traffic on 35, 78, different places like that. Don't you? That's my opinion.
So I will tell you that for years, we had a sign. First of all, I owe you a cup of coffee, so make sure you take me up on it.
Will you be here tomorrow?
No, believe it or not, but I'll be there Friday. How's Friday?
Okay.
All right? Meet you outside of Brewster Do. Pam will get your... we did have a sign when you came down the bridge, the Driscoll Bridge.
Yeah, okay.
For many years, we had a sign, and we found it not to be very effective. That sign, believe it or not, cost $16,500 a month.
Yeah, no, it's a big billboard.
Yeah,
Big billboard there.
yeah, big billboard. It doesn't do what a local on-the-spot sign does. Now, you may be right that we should relook at doing some advertising on other billboards. That's possible, but nothing will beat the ability for people who drive by, our neighbors, to know and remember what's right inside. Nothing. So it's a good suggestion. We do a lot of online marketing, a lot of digital marketing. We have an entire team that does social media. The world has changed, my friend, right? And I would say that, the sign ordinance that we're battling today, as it was written for a different time and a different era, you should be able to get from a sign what you get from your phone. And it's information, it's presented a certain way that people look at. Nobody sees anything that's not color, that's not digital. Even if it's your kid sitting across you from the dinner table, you got to talk to them through your text. So we'll talk about this over coffee.
Thank you very much.
yes, sir. Your name and address and state your question.
Hi, my name is Bill Marito. I'm at 8 Eastbrook Drive in Holmdel. Fundamentally, I really have one question for Mr. Zucker. I complain too, I hear you, you're right. Fundamentally, I really have one question for Mr. Zucker. Here, it would seem pretty clear that you need variances. It would seem clear that the board has suggested you're going to need some variances. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It seems very clear that you have a lot of people from Holmdel that don't want, for their reasons that are being expressed here, they don't want these signs that are flashing signs, and call them what you want, but anything that flips every 8 seconds is certainly seems to me to be flashing. So my question is this. if you need a variance, and you told an eloquent story earlier tonight, you came in, the very first thing I heard you say was, I came here, I hadn't closed, I was doing my due diligence, I was really thinking about whether I wanted to go ahead with this project, and what happened? I heard an argument about a brown sign. And if I listened to them for an hour argue over a brown sign, I really knew maybe I should not move forward with the project. So if anyone was ever on notice that signage matters, and I've got a man here who is a sophisticated developer, okay? You knew this was a problem. You agreed to various terms, but at least according to what I've heard
Your
tonight,
question is?
based on what I've heard tonight, there are issues that have already come up about whether or not you're compliant. Maybe are, maybe aren't. On what basis do you believe the zoning board should grant variances regarding a sign when, through your own admission, the very first thing you said in your decision-making process, as you said, hinged on whether or not you can get past this issue, and you knew signs were a big deal? Why should the board go out of their way against the community's wishes? Thank you.
I'm not sure that was a question, but I'll try. I'll try to answer it anyway. Where'd you go? Oh, okay. You're not in my way. I'm not saying that anybody owes me anything. I never said that, and I said if you deny me here tonight, we'll still be friends and we'll still be neighbors, whether we like it or not. That's not I did not come in here with any demands. I just said for the better of what we've done. And I'll tell you something. You make a good point. I was forewarned. And lucky for me, and I hope that some people in this room feel that we've made this place just a little bit better. We're leaving it a little bit better than we found it when we came in 2007 and 2008. If I would have followed that logic, and maybe I should have, I know my wife and kids would be happier. The bottom line is that we would not have turned the largest vacant office building in the United States into what Architectural Digest called the most iconic building in New Jersey. So your reasoning is true, and thank God I'm a little bit crazy.
Is there? Yes, ma'am.
Francine Campus, 2 Country Squire Lane. I want to first thank you for what you've done there. It is really, I go there many times and it is wonderful. I won't waste any more because I'm only here for a question.
You made my night, by the way. It only took 2 hours. Thank you.
But my question to you, is, we've heard you talk about the benefits to the tenants, the retail tenants, and the negatives of not getting your variance of the retail tenants. We know that Bell Works is made up of many residences. That's made that a successful place. Those residents that have made your product successful are here having a problem with what you're asking for. You also mentioned that you want to be a good neighbor to the people of Holmdel. Well, over a sign, I don't know that you want to risk the people in your own development that was a success, the people of Holmdel. And quite honestly, I've been in your thing. I know the businesses there. They are lovely businesses. There's pharmacy, a gym. But when it comes to picking where I'm going to get my medicines done and where I'm going to go to the gym, it won't be because of a flashing sign on the road. So have you done a study to see that after you go through all this trouble, you really will benefit the retail tenants of your development?
So I guess your question at the end is, and I appreciate your early comments, and I accept your criticism. Yes, we want to be good neighbors. We had no idea. We actually reached out to the president of the board. Once we heard, we didn't really fathom that there was going to be. You live in a bubble, and sometimes we didn't know. We don't know that people are present. I frankly wish. We're pretty accessible. We're right there. My office is upstairs, and anybody could walk in to Bellworks and ask to meet us or anything like that. Don't all come at once. And we would love this dialogue. So the answer is we are sure, absolutely positively sure, that having signage on these Crawford's Corner Road and Middletown Road will help our retailers, no question about it. And we're just as sure that what we bring to our neighbors in the community, the senior community, and the neighborhoods, which we helped create. We fought for your homes. We fought to create these things. Everybody thought the world was going to end when we proposed it. I remember that. And we fought to bring that here. We want those people to be happy, and we love when they come in and walk around and not just shop, just to be there. We know that the ultimate amenity is life itself. It's bringing people together. It's bringing people to the building. When the building was built in 1961, that's what Eros Saarinen designed, and we helped bring that back to life. So of course we do not want to argue with the people, and frankly, we thought maybe we should even pull this application. We weren't sure because of the opposition. But we're here tonight to see if we can work through this and get it better. I believe that with dialogue, as suggested here tonight by our chair, we can make it better for everybody. There are steps that we could take that will make it better for the people that live in Bellworks, the residences, our neighbors. We could dim it more. We could make it go off earlier, totally off at night, and say, well, not totally off, but totally black. So, right? So it never shuts out totally black, so no light comes through. Same thing as being off. We might have to leave a little bit of something so people don't hit it, so they know that there's a sign there, just maybe like almost like a little safety dot or something, but nothing that would affect anybody. We're confident of that. So I think if your question is a question, can we make it better? Do we want to get along? The answer is yes, and we will do our best.
Thank you. Next. Hello. Your name and address and your question.
Hi, Barbara Matusak, 68 Telegraph Hill Road, Holmdel. I want to also say, as Fran just said, I'm in a walking outfit every Tuesday. We get together, newcomer neighbors from Colts Neck and Holmdel. Every Tuesday we're there walking. Okay, there's quite a few people here. I didn't change. Here's one that was here. Okay, so we are using exactly what your goal was, okay, for Bellworks. Okay, so we see you as an asset. We like the retailers that you have. This is my neighbors for 35 years that now live over there in your condos over there, okay? But we all know Target, okay, the store Target. And they don't have every single department listed in Target. They have a Target. So I think where your failure is right now is you have not repositioned Bell Laboratories into Bellworks for your retailers. You have to do a little more homework. We don't care what you're doing inside. We think it's wonderful. All your signage is great. We go to Barbella. We have happy hours there through 150 newcomer neighbors of Holmdel and Colts Neck. We are your people, okay? And I think that's what we want you to realize. We just don't want billboards at the entrances in the residential area. You can make hundreds of
Excuse
things
me.
inside. So that's
You're
my
making
question.
a comment now, but what is
Okay,
your
I'm sorry.
question?
So my question is, what are you really going to do to reposition this for your retailers besides just social media? Okay, I think that you need a marketing plan.
Okay.
What was your question?
Thank you very much.
By the way, I did for 35 years, and I think I met you actually at ICSC many years ago when you were talking about considering something like this. I'm retired now, so I just walk and do other things.
Okay, I knew there was a professional in there somewhere. So I'm not sure of the question again, but I will, with permission of the chair, to try to establish the facts. We do intense marketing. Most of our marketing is on social media. We spend a tremendous amount of time and effort to put things out on the various channels of social media, which is where people get their information today. Static advertising in magazines, things like that, that's the way of the past. It doesn't work anymore. The fact of the matter is that we are not Target. As much as people look at Big Bell Works and think we're this huge developer, everything else, we're a collection on the retail side of mom and pops, small shops, people trying to make a living. But let me please, because I didn't interrupt you. Small mom and pops trying to make a living, trying to do what they do best. And a lot of them are struggling. And I want to tell you something. If we do not find a way to support them, and we don't have an unlimited budget, we don't have the ability to go ahead and spend what Target spends. Everybody knows what a Target is. Not everybody knows what Bellworks is. And we would have to have Target's budget to go ahead and do that. And it's not humanly, it's not sustainable. It's just not possible. So we have to find ways. And the simple way, we're not asking to cover the place with billboards and huge signs. We're simply asking to go ahead and do something that our experts have told us. We've done our homework. We're very good at what we do. And we need to support our community by going ahead and letting people know. You know, the little thing that says, open to the public, eat, work, live, work, play, was added on to the existing static sign, and that made a very big difference because a lot of people didn't know that it was open to the public. But the bottom line is, your traffic is the people driving by your street, and that's been like that for hundreds of years. It's been like that when people came there on riverboats down the canals. We're not going to change human behavior. We could only do our best. So yes, we've studied it. Yes, we want to try to make it better. And if you enjoy coming to Barbella, I don't know if I'll buy you a drink. A cup of coffee is enough, but coffee's on us. If you enjoy coming to Barbella and you enjoy what's there, know that those things without support will disappear. So if you enjoy what we've done, and I appreciate that you're saying that, then this is not too much to ask for. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Name, address, and your question.
My name is Ed Crawford. I live at 14 Stratford Lane. I have to say I'm a little bit concerned at some of the things I heard tonight, and it raises some questions in my mind. I'm retired, but before that, I'm a certified lighting designer, and I was CEO of Philips Lighting for 10 years and worked for Philips Lighting for 25 years. For those of you who don't know, Philips Lighting is the largest lighting company in the world, and we invented the LED. My question concerns the basic premise of what's been discussed here tonight, which is that there is an existing regulation about lumen levels and about static versus non-static. And you positioned this as not needing a variance, quite frankly. You positioned it as the lumens are stable. The lumens don't change. And you also stated that it was static.
I need your question. You can make your comments
my question
after,
is,
sir.
did you analyze the effective lumens or the center beam candle power that everybody driving down the block would be looking at? Because that would certainly not be stable.
Well, that question was raised by somebody on the board, I believe, and we agreed to bring back a lighting expert to talk about the light spillage off the property.
So,
address the impact.
I'm just wondering why, in a hearing to discuss a proposal that you don't need a variance, why you would not bring a lighting specialist here to talk to it? Because it's very
wait a minute. We just said we're going to bring a lighting specialist.
No, my
okay?
question is, why didn't you bring one tonight when we have 150 people here who are interested in this subject?
We didn't know the lighting question would come up.
Then why? Then why? So if that's the case, then why did you position this as the lumen? The light level never changes. Right. You said. You know, that's like saying my TV light level never changes because the internal mechanism is always the same lumens. But the fact of the matter is, if I'm looking at a dark scene, it's one lumen level, and if I'm looking at a snow scene, it's a different lumen level. And that's what we're talking about driving down the road.
What's your question,
It's gotta be a
sir?
question. I asked the question, and I can't get an answer to the question.
Your
The
question was,
is,
why didn't we bring an expert? This is a little bit insulting. Your question was, why didn't we bring an expert here if we did this? Frankly, we had no idea that this level of opposition was here. What we thought we're proposing was actually very benign and would be welcomed. Now that we see that this is of a concern. We have said over and over again that we will bring an expert. If you want to berate us, go ahead and berate us. We will not answer any more of these type of questions.
Next question, please.
You should be willing to answer
Okay.
questions. You know, I'm pro-business too. I was CEO of a $3 billion
sir,
company.
Through the chair, I'm not here to be humiliated and berated. We could withdraw and go home. It doesn't matter to us. You could deal with the retailers when they close down. You're not an expert on retail, and I'm not going to have you sit here and berate me. If you want to berate me, come to my office and we'll have a conversation. This is not the venue for it.
Just for the record, I'm
do you
not
have enough?
berating you, sir. I'm
No,
asking
sir,
you
sir,
questions.
sir. Mr. Crawford, questions only.
That's fine. If you'd like to swear me in as an expert in lighting later, I'd be happy to do that.
During the that would be fine. Do I have another person for questions? Please. Yes, please come up.
Through the chair, these are not questions, these are statements, and it's fine. I would like my retailers, the retailers at Bellworks, to also be able to ask questions.
Okay, so I'm an expert in business. My family had a business, Gail Rubin. 26 Miller Avenue in Holmdel for, I guess, 40 years. So, and I think you're a genius. I think what happened with Bellworks is unreal, and I'm very proud of it, and I thank you for helping reduce taxes in this town, and I think it's great. And you always have to try to keep your business. So I'm asking, I know in business what we used to do was advertise in the mail, and you get as many, like going down that road, I hardly ever go down that road. People in Holmdel don't go around Bellworks unless, they live there. And you've got a lot more people in town that, or even other towns, that should know about Bellworks and your ice cream place.
Your
and your
question, please.
I'm asking why you haven't sent out in the mail to advertise, maybe with coupons or. It's probably expensive. All right, how do you do that? Because I never really got anything. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen
please.
it.
I'm going to close the question part of this meeting if we don't maintain order.
Okay.
I think that's a great question. I welcome it. And we actually have a campaign ready to go. You're right. Your 40 years of expertise is well received. And I would have here, Mordechai, if you could turn this back on again. We have here a mailer that's about to go out with a coupon on it, offering you 15% off at different shops in Bellworks, because mail is something that we're also working. We are not only trying to do the signage. We are doing whatever we can. And we have been working for about a month and a half on these mailers. We have a whole bunch of them ready to go out. And hopefully you'll see one in your mail soon.
Okay, congratulations, and that's a great idea that we have.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions before I close the public portion of questions? No. Last question. Name and address, please.
Joy Luciani, 10 Country Squire Lane in Holmdel. First, I'd like to say thank you for developing the Bell Labs building instead of leaving there amongst weeds. It was in decay. So now it's an active building, so thank you for that. My question is, first of all, I'm not in agreement of the signs here. My question is, knowing a lot of people that live in town know about Bell Works and what's inside, why can't you just advertise on the highways to bring in a broader group of people from outside of the town, and you'll have a broader audience coming in? Why do you have to stick just in Holmdel? We know about you.
So that question has been asked already, and I appreciate it, and thank you for recognizing that we have saved that dilapidated building and restored it to, I believe, at least its former glory. The fact of the matter is, like I said, we do not have an unlimited budget. There's just a certain amount of money that comes in and a certain amount of money that could be spent. And even if, and this is from experts, and we could bring them down here next time if the chair wants us to bring them down here, marketing experts. No matter what you do, the most effective way to tell people that you're there is to have a sign on the road where people travel. That's the fact of the matter. Can we do more marketing? Like you just heard, we're doing what we can. We're going to send postcards. That was a very good idea. We are doing mailers. We are doing coupons. We're doing whatever we can. We cannot afford. We could take all the rent that all the retailers pay us, and it wouldn't make a dent in the amount of billboards. We'd be competing against Target and against all these other companies. We just can't do it. There's just nothing. I want to tell you something. We have another Bellworks Chicagoland. It's on the side of the 90 in a community called Hoffman Estates, which is also a bedroom community to downtown Chicago, sort of like Holmdel is to Metro New York. About the same distance, about the same traffic level. Over there, when we came in, because of our experiences here, you get better, you get smarter over time. The municipality over there, believe it or not, here we fought for 5 years to get our plan approved, and I understand why. There were concerns. People didn't believe that we were actually going to do what we said we were going to do. And they didn't believe we could pull it off. Frankly, there were days that we didn't believe we could pull it off. Thank God we did. Over there, we knew that we need signage, and we need major signage, and we're right by the equivalent of the Garden State Parkway. We're on the 90. We have a huge 60-foot tall billboard that changes 16 times a minute to different messages. It advertises all the tenants. It advertises the coffee shop. It advertises the fitness center as tenants come in. That was one of the conditions that we said we need. They came to us and said, we have a building that a 1.6 million square foot building, almost as big as Bellworks here, that was vacant. And they came here to Holmdel and said, could you do in our community what you did in Holmdel? And we gave them certain conditions. And they said yes. And one of them is a huge billboard. We don't have that opportunity here, and we never thought of even asking for that. We understand where we are. We thought we understood a little better. I see we have some lessons to learn, and we will learn those lessons and hopefully work together to perfect it. But we're doing whatever we can to survive. COVID was not easy. We still have not reached 50% of the people who worked in the office coming back. The retailers that are here standing all night in the back because they're struggling to bring people, to get them in, to come back to where they were pre-COVID. That's just a fact of life. We just want to make it so it's there for all of us and that it lasts. We are at risk, and we're asking for your support.
Why are the stores not open that much? Like, people go there, and I know you might say that's tied in because people
Absolutely.
don't know about it. But I mean,
Absolutely.
there's local people that go there all the time, and you can't even get a cup of coffee on a Saturday.
I will let the retailers
Also,
answer that because that is exactly why we're here.
May I say something else also?
Is it a question?
Is it a question?
Yes, I'll make it into a question. I will.
Do you like
No,
spaghetti?
so we all learned. Yes.
Oh, okay, it's a question. No.
Okay. Anyway, let's see, with the signage, when I go, I know the village school sign is positioned in a different way. Knowing that, why am I going to be able to read your sign when it's flashing by when I'm driving, and I can't even read the village sign? I got to go back and forth and do that. Why? Why do you think I'm going to do that?
We're going to have a much better sign, and it's not flashing. It's static. It's not flashing.
But it's
So
going to be changing
it's
every
not.
so
It's not
minute.
going to. You don't even know that it's changing. I can give. You'll see it yourself when you come down. It's 1 minute it's this, the next minute it's that. You don't see it changing. It's all of a sudden changed, and you'll see it with your own eyes. So the fact of the matter is, it's a better sign. It's more readable. It's got better pixels. I'm not an expert, but it's a better sign than you have here. I mean, I saw 3 roadside signs with lights as I pulled in. You're right. I'm glad you mentioned that. But these are just more modern, better signs.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope you consider the doing away with so many colors all the time flashing. Thank you so
We
much.
will definitely do away with the flashing. There's no flashing. Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question? Then I close this portion of the meeting. I would like to discuss an on-site date, if we can, when would be, what is our calendar like? We have to also check with Officer Matthew to make sure that I want him there, if he's going to be available. Is that Matthew?
It's open to the public.
And it isn't open to the public?
It is open.
Yes, it is open to the public. We are going to notice for it. There will be no comments, questions at the on-site. The only persons that are permitted to speak are the board members, the professionals, and the applicant. You're there to see and visualize what the signs might look like if this was to be approved only. So it's there for your visual benefit.
And then when we come back,
And then, yes, when we come back,
there'll be more chance for questions after additional testimony, and a final, at the end, there'll be time for anyone to make a public comment. At the end of everything, there'll be time for anyone to make a public comment, including the retailers that are here and the many residents that are here.
okay, do we want to talk about a date?
The comments come at the end of the entire presentation, so.
do it now.
So this is gonna get carried to another date? Okay, yeah, no, you could go then, probably.
Can I do a question like everybody else?
Yeah?
Of course.
I
I'm going to reopen the questions portion of the meeting. Please state your name, your address, and your question. Thank you.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
My name is Todd Schobel. I'm Oasis VRX, part owner at 101 Crawford's Corner Road. Thank you again. And listen, I understand what everybody's saying. If I lived right here around the corner, I'd be concerned about this stuff too. So I want to talk about credibility is where I'm really here. But real quick on marketing and advertising, I've been doing this for a little while. Tell my gray hair.
I need your.
Yeah, so, well, I'm obviously turning the question into a comment because that's what happened before. So anyhow, it takes several impressions for people to see and to digest unconsciously or subconsciously what they're seeing. So if you see a 10-second sign where you're driving, especially on that road, you're going to see it once. It's going to come into your head. It may not apply, but over certain amounts of time, amount of times, all of a sudden it will. You'll remember, and it'll have a humongous effect on the building. Second of all, my question is, Ralph, I just want to ask you a question about your credibility, and I think that's super important here for everybody. There is no charge for these signs, correct?
Correct.
So I'm a retailer. Do I have to pay you a dime?
No.
Are you going to make any money from it?
Only if you do better.
Okay, great. So here's the other thing about credibility.
Yeah.
Where did everybody go in this community and outside of this community during COVID? Where was the safe haven?
People came to Bellworks. We opened Bellworks. We had movie nights. We spent a lot of money, believe it or not, hosting those outdoor cinemas. It didn't bring in any money. It cost us a small fortune. We worked very, very hard to. We actually made a partnership together with the local hospital and with Hackensack to guide us on how to bring people in safely. We spent literally. Over $1 million trying to make it safe, cleaning it, turning things over. Every table had a sign. We knew that we had to be the place for people to come together. Like I said earlier, we didn't collect rent during that period. We gave everybody, a lot of you are still on percentage rent. We gave everybody the opportunity just to stay open. So we did all of that to keep Bellworks as a center of the community.
That credibility factor, when you said you didn't charge rent, we weren't charged rent. I know a ton of businesses around me, people that left Red Bank, left other places because the landlords didn't care. They charged them rent no matter what. This building and this gentleman right here charged us nothing. He's here to take care of us as retailers so we can help protect this beautiful building. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. I now close this portion of the meeting. Thank you. Okay, so.
Through the chair, can I make one comment before we close the meeting, or is that too late?
You're still under oath, yes.
Okay, sure. So I just really want to. I know you said that at the public meeting, only the people on the board will be able to ask questions. I want to say very clearly, we would welcome a dialogue with everybody. When Bellworks was designed, we had many dialogues. It doesn't have to be.
Cannot be at the on-site. It's not.
No, not at the onsite. I want to say that we would welcome, if there's outreach, we don't know how to reach you, you all know how to reach us. We would welcome the opportunity to meet with you. If the group wants to come together and have a conversation, we would love to do it. We'd love to have a retail. It doesn't have to be, we're allowed to have conversations outside of the auspices.
You're more than welcome
correct?
to invite the residents. The
Right,
board
so
will not
I'm just
be there.
inviting everybody.
The board cannot be there.
Yeah, the board won't be there. We'll miss you. But I very much want to let everybody know that we're not hiding behind our lawyers, although we love him, and we really want to have a dialogue. So if there's a desire on behalf of the community to try to get together, some people approached me tonight and said, we wish we had an opportunity to talk about it. And I said to them, you know who we are, we don't know who you are. So please, either on our website, maybe that's a great place to go, or you can call Pam over here at 732-415-7103. That's her office number. Don't kill me. And we will set something up, maybe 1 or 2 meetings. We'd like to invite our retailers to be there as well. We'd like to show you what we have. We'd like to understand your concerns and try to make things better for everybody. So I appreciate, through the chair, that you gave me the opportunity to say that, and that will not be a formal public meeting. We'll just do it informally and have a conversation.
Okay. As far as, I have to reopen it, and it'll be. Yes. Yes. And you're. What is the?
So just so you understand the process, we're just bound by what we're under the MLUL, the Municipal Land Use Law. Public questions come after testimony, which was presented. We're going to have more testimony after we do the on-site, so there'll be more potential questions. At the end of all the at the end of all the applicants' witnesses, and any other witnesses, if anybody else wants to present a witness, then it's time for public comment. So, well, that's the process. So that's what we have to be guided by. No.
Well, remember, the board will hear what you have to say.
But you're not the one that makes the final decision. The community got to talk. You're hearing them.
It's the process. Listen, it's the process.
But this is the process in which we have to follow.
That's right.
Okay.
No,
Thank
we're
you.
closed. Don't
Okay, it's closed. It's closed.
No.
No comments. No. I mean, no comments. At the.
Tonight. No more tonight.
Can we send you information? Can we send you
No.
opinions?
No. Oh, no. That's hearsay. Okay, I'd like to carry this. No.
You don't want the same.
No.
Don't do the same.
Okay, no. August. I want to carry it to August. The on-site.
No, that can be any time.
That can be any time.
When our professionals and the board are.
August 15th would be the next meeting date.
We just have to finish this part. See, ma'am. Can't do that. Ma'am.
Yes. Not tonight. I
That's
can't
the process,
control the
unfortunately.
process of the municipal land use law. I
Okay,
can't.
ma'am, it has to be, you can't be having a private conversation. We made the announcement. There's a public comment period. It's at the end of the entire.
I'm sorry, that's closed.
You want the 1st or the 15th?
Coming back from what?
What?
The 1st or
Of
the
what?
15th of August.
Ma'am,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Could it be new?
Pam, we're 1st and 15th of August.
listen, we need to announce a date for the carry, so.
Let us finish.
So, Courtney, what date are we use?
August
1st or 15th?
15th.
Which you prefer, 1st or 15th?
Pam,
And we need to announce well, it's going to be noticed. But
Yes, can't we do this when they're not here, please?
yeah.
Okay, we're going to carry this to August 15th.
But you got to say that. Okay, the mic.
Okay.
So it's on the record without further notice.
Without further notice, we will carry this to August 15th. We're
Yes.
carrying it
Without further notice.
without further notice. We're gonna let our professionals.
Do you have it on
ASAP.
So we can set it now, it'd be better on the record.
Okay.
Do you guys care? Do you care?
We have to notice for it. How many days do I have to notice for an on-site?
Are we talking about the on-site meeting? I would recommend, that you take, that they take what they need. That you can do what the board is asking for by, how long you think that will take you. And that,
No, it's 2 days, I think.
okay, if you think you can do that pretty quickly.
Right now.
Yeah, pick a date so we can announce it.
Okay, I can't speak for Bob. I can't do that right off the top of my head right now. I have to look at my calendar, and I'm sure we all will. But no one's listening anymore. But the on-site meeting will be publicly noticed and posted on the bulletin board. Yes, we will notice the meeting.
What's that?
Yes, we have to.
Marty, I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion on that date right now.
Yes. Mr. Bruno, how much time do they need? I want to do it next Tuesday.
Is next Tuesday good for the
No,
on-site?
you gotta ask Kate and
Kate?
these guys.
Is there enough time to do
Let's, you gotta stop the noise. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's adjourn.
We're trying. I'm going
adjourn,
to.
adjourn, take a timeout. Let's do a
Okay.
10-minute
We're
break.
going to take a 10-minute break. Turn off the recording, Loretta.
Yeah, it's too quick. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
The on-site date will be determined by our professionals and by Somerset's professionals and attorney, and we will notice for it, and we will make an announcement in a later time. It'll be published.
It'll be published.
It'll be published
Two-day notice.
with a
You'll put it on
two-day
the website.
notice.
It'll be on the
And it'll
website.
be on our website. Okay, and they're gonna put it on social media if they can. And I'd like to carry this meeting to August 15th without further notice. And- Yes. Do I have
That's it.
Okay,
So nothing else.
and that's it. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. Here's my agenda. Give me-
This is old, but I think that's your.
Oh, no, I have a new one here somewhere. Go.
Courtney, do you have the new agenda?
I know you've given it to me, but I can't find it.
Can't find it. Do you have the agenda?
I know you did, Courtney.
Here we got it. Here we got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, item number 2, administrative approval. Item number 2, V/O Med Spa Town Center. Just a review of a trademark logo sign previously approved by the TRC on May 18th, 2023. We don't really do anything, it's just an acknowledgement, correct?
I think
don't
there,
think
there
we-
were reports from the professionals who sit on the TRC. I no longer sit on the TRC.
We have the letter from TNN saying that they approved it.
Just a vote.
Do we take a vote?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a vote for administrative approval ratifying the, essentially ratifying the approval by the TRC.
Okay. Do I have, what? No, TRC.
Review committee. So it's the administrative one.
Okay.
So this is the, so I can vote on this? Yeah, the whole board.
We're going
The
to-
whole board that's here can vote.
Okay. I make a motion for administrative approval for the application to review the trademark logo sign that the TRC previously with the TRC approved on May 18th, 2023. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Okay, item number 3, memorialization resolution. Item number 3, PB 2020-01, Barclay Square at Holmdel LLC, Palmer Avenue, Block 52, Lot 17 and 18. Applicant granted a one-year extension of a preliminary and final major site plan approval memorialization on July 20th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
Just for the record, that was just a simple one-year extension that was sent to the applicant's counsel who reviewed it, and it's been,
They were here for an extension for...
one-year extension of their,
Right. Yes, she was seated. They both were. Roll call. I made a motion. Oh, no, give it to Tom.
second?
Second?
Second.
I wasn't seated, but I did review the tape. Yes.
Were you here last meeting?
No.
No.
Nobody
We're
said
not
he
gonna-
did.
We're not gonna vote.
Take that back. Tom King?
Yes.
Chris Close?
Yes.
Samantha Philippine? Yes. And Christie O'Connor?
Yes.
Any professional reports for us? Kate? Bob?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Say it.
Made. Second.
Okay.
All right.
Christie and then Wes. Thank you very much, everybody. See you at the on-site.